All right, everyone. So this is for students who may not have been in class for the mitosis and meiosis comparing and contrast matrix. Okay? This matrix is going to be really helpful for making sure that we don't mix up mitosis and meiosis and we know all of the important details that are unique to each of them. Okay? Or sometimes that some things are shared by both of them. Okay? So we'll start with what is the purpose? Okay, and each one, and we have 20 blanks here. So we'll go ahead and start filling. First one is what is the purpose? Okay, what's the purpose of for mitosis? One way to remember that is to think mitosis, okay, because toes are a body part, and mitosis is to create body cells. Okay. And for meiosis, it's going to be to create sex cells. Okay. Cross those out so we don't use them again. We'll go to our next one. Describe the ploidy state of the mother parent cell at the beginning. Okay, so what it's asking is it diploid or haploid at the beginning, okay, for the parent? Because both of these, mitosis and meiosis, both start with diploid cells. Okay. I'm going to draw an arrow like this just to show that it's for both of these boxes. Okay. Next one is what form of reproduction? Okay. And in mitosis, because mitosis has one parent, that's going to be asexual reproduction. Okay. And then meiosis, it involves sperm cell and egg cell that come from mom and dad. So that's going to be sexual reproduction. Okay. Our next row, or actually, our next row, it's going to say, how is the chromosome number affected by this process? And in mitosis, it will remain the same. And in meiosis, it's halved, okay? Or reduced by half, we'll say. Our next one says, how many times does DNA duplicate or copy? Okay? Before I get into that one, I do want to just draw a quick couple diagrams of mitosis and meiosis. Okay? For mitosis, an example could be, let's say we have 4 chromosomes. Okay? And we turn to 8 after interphase. Okay? And then we go split them up. We'll have 4 chromosomes in each of our daughter cells. Okay? In meiosis, if we did the same sort of thing for a organism that has 4 chromosomes, we have DNA replication that will get us to 8. Then we will have 4 and 4. Okay, but then, since it's meiosis, we're going to divide again. We'll bring that down to 2. Okay? If you're wondering where I got those numbers from, anytime you see 2 arrows coming out of a circle in our diagrams, that's going to tell us that we are sharing those chromosomes and we're splitting them up. Okay, so that means we would half them by 2, or we would divide them by 2. That's where I'm getting 8 to 4, 4 to 2, okay, because we're splitting those up. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our graphic organizer. How many times does the DNA replicate or duplicate? Okay, DNA replication or duplication occurs right here. So this is during interphase. Okay, it would be interphase, and it's particularly where DNA replication is happening in the S phase. Okay. So how many times does the DNA duplicate and replicate? In each of these, it's only once. Okay, so it duplicates once. Duplicates once, and that's going to be for both of them. Okay. We'll cross those out as we go. How many times does the cell divide? Okay, so what that's getting at now is it's asking how many times is it dividing. So like this is one division there, and we got 2 divisions here. Okay, so we have a total of 1 division that happened here, 2 divisions total for meiosis. Okay, but in mitosis we only have 1, so that's this one here. Okay. So I'm gonna write in here divides once. Then on our box for meiosis, I'm going to say divides twice. Okay. So our next one says explain the ploidy, so the chromosome number of the daughter cells. So how do they compare? Okay, so for the daughter cells, they are going to be the same number of chromosomes as the parent cell in mitosis. Okay? And in meiosis, the daughter cells are going to be half of what it is for the parent cell. Okay? Answer. Okay? If it's the same number, like in mitosis, then it's going to be diploid daughters. Okay? And then in meiosis, because we have half as many, so we have 4, we start with 4, then we end up with 2, 2, 2, and 2. That's going to mean that we have haploid daughters. Okay. Our next one says, does crossing over between homologous chromosomes occur? Okay. So in mitosis, crossover does not occur. And then in meiosis, crossover occurs. Okay. This is when the chromosomes, because in meiosis you get them from mom and dad, that's where there's going to be some variation and you're going to have crossover. Because in meiosis you only have chromosomes coming from one parent, then there is going to be no crossover and you're going to end up with duplicate copies or identical copies of daughter cells. Yep. How many daughter cells are produced? That's our next one. Daughter cells. Okay. And what that's asking, if I take a look at my diagram, is how much am I ending with? So for example, right here, I have 2 daughter cells right there. So how many daughter cells are produced? 2 daughter cells. Okay. But if I'm looking at meiosis, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. I'm going to write 4 daughter cells. Okay. And for the very last one, it says, how can you describe the genetic makeup of the 2 new daughter cells? Okay. Cells. Okay. And in mitosis, we end up with genetically identical. And that makes sense because we don't want our muscle cells to be different than our other muscle cells. We want them to function and operate in the same way. And if they only have one parent, they're only getting DNA all from one parent, and that would make them duplicate copies or identical copies. Okay? So in meiosis, they're genetically different. This makes sense because we have chromosomes coming from mom and chromosomes coming from dad, and because those are going to be mixed up, we're going to have genetically different offspring or daughter cells than our parent cell that we started with. Okay? That's going to be it for that. Space is filled out. Use this as a study guide to also help out and prepare for the meiosis quiz that you'll be having pretty soon. But other than that, good luck. Of these, we do have a word bank here, okay, that has all of our answers. So it has 20 options. Okay, so the mitosis and what's the purpose of meiosis. Okay? The purpose is going to be to either create sex cells or create body cells. Awesome. And then after that, what we're going to do is we are going to, okay, so what I'm going to look here is I'm going to look for starts with diploid. And I'm actually going to see another one that says starts with diploid. This method represent. Okay? So for us, it's going to be either sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction. Before we get there, I'm going to cross these off. And our 2 options are going to be either that it remains the same or it's reduced by half. We'll go ahead and cross those out as well. Okay. And let's see. Duplicates DNA once, duplicates DNA once. So I'm going to look at our answers. So we have haploid daughter cells or diploid daughter cells. In our answers, it says crossing over does not occur and crossing over occurs. If I'm starting to look at what we have left, we don't have too much left, so let's see. It says, oh, we actually did this one as well already. So these two produces two daughter cells or produces, and our answers that we have left are they're either genetically identical daughter cells or genetically different. I'm just going to finish crossing off our last words, and that is all of our